I live on 10 acres of sun-scorched, beautiful nowhere, just beyond the sleepy edge of our little Arizona town. My place, Dusty Hollow, isn't Mooch's simple ranch house, a handful of ornery goats, and a VYEW so wide it makes you believe in something bigger. I earned every inch of this land, paid for with a decade of construction sweat and 2 years of freelance welding. I'm not one for fuss. I like my quiet, my space, and, most of all, my gate. It's nothing fancy, just a steel frame I welded myself, anchored in concrete posts with a padlock and chain tough enough to stop a runaway truck. Or so I thought. Then came the Pine VYEW Estates Homeowners Association, a pack of self-crowned suburban overlords who rolled into town like they owned the desert itself. Pine VYEW, a shiny new rural luxury development, started sprouting up 2 plots over, its manicured lawns and fake rustic charm creeping toward my land like a bad rash. These folks didn't believe in boundaries, manners, or Leah VYing well enough alone. It all kicked off one morning when I was out front, coffee in hand, trying to reason with a goat named Daisy, who'd taken a liking to chewing my truck's mirrors. A woman appeared at my gate tall, wiry, in yoga pants that probably cost more than my toolbox. She was tapping away on her phone, eyeing my property like it was a junkyard. "Can I help you?" I called, already wishing I hadn't. She looked up, flashing a smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Hi, I'm Karen, Pine VYEW HOA board. We're just down the road. I need to talk about your gate." I raised an eyebrow. "What about it?" She flipped through a clipboard like she was about to serve me a warrant. "It's on an easement that's supposed to stay open for community access. County records. Probably an oversight." I sipped my coffee, letting her words hang. "No," I said. "It's a private easement. For utility crews and emergencies. Not your golf carts and dog walkers." Karen's smile twitched. "We're planning a biking trail along the boundary. It'll boost the neighborhood's appeal. You get how important that is, right?" I glanced at my dust-covered land, Daisy now head-butting a tire. "Lady, if you see appeal in 10 acres of goat droppings and chainsaws, you need glasses." She gave a tight laugh, like a cat hacking up a hairball, and left with a whiff of perfume and a promise to be in touch. 2 weeks later, my gate wouldn't budge. Not from rust or Daisy's antics. Someone had snuck out at night, dug a trench across my driveway, and poured concrete just deep enough to lock the gate shut. A laminated sign was stabbed into the dirt. "Notice, per HOA Regulation 12C, this access is closed pending re-VYEW. Use Pine VYEW entrances." I read it twice, laughed, then cursed. I don't live in Pine VYEW. I don't pay their fees or sign their rules. Yet here I was, caged in by people who thought rural meant a wine bar with barnwood decor. I called the sheriff. Deputy Miller rolled up, spitting sunflower seeds and apologizing before he even saw the trench. "County jurisdiction," he said, "but the HOA claims it's a shared easement. You'll need CIVYL court to sort it." I stared. "So I'm trapped on my own land?" He shrugged. "Talk to a lawyer." I grinned, the kind of grin that comes before you do something reckless. "Got it." Instead of a lawyer, I call my buddy Jake, a guy with a backhoe and a healthy disregard for bureaucracy. Jake pulled up at dusk, his truck kicking up dust like a warhorse. He eyed the concrete with disgust. "HOA nonsense," he spat, climbing into his rig. 20 minutes later, the trench was history, the concrete dumped by my compost pile, and my gate swung free. I handed Jake a beer. He took 2, said it was for the aggravation. By morning, Pine VYEU's Facebook group was a wildfire. My neighbor Sarah, who treats HOA gossip like a blood sport, brought me a printout and a tray of cookies. "You're a legend," she grinned. "They're calling you the crazy rancher with the attack backhoe." I snorted, grabbing a cookie. "What kind?" "Chocolate chip." "Yup." "Oh, and Karen's filing a county complaint for property destruction." I laughed so hard I nearly choked. 3 days of silence followed, eerie, like a coyote sizing you footage courtesy of Unsplash Up before it lunges. Then came the fence. I woke to hammering and cheerful whistling. By the time I stumbled outside, 3 guys in vests were bolting up a 6-foot VYNYL wall along my property line, right where my gate met the county road. A plastic sign dangled from it. property of Pine VY EWHOA. For resident safety. They weren't just blocking my gate, they were erasing it, like my ranch was a stain on their perfect suburb. I laughed until Daisy bolted in panic. I called my lawyer, Lisa, a 5-foot terror who once made a zoning official cry in court. Within an hour, she had my deeds, plat maps, and a Google Earth shot with a big red arrow screaming, "Not their land." "The easement's yours," she said. "County maintained, privately accessible. They've got no claim. Can I rip down the fence?" I asked. "Yup," she said. "Document everything. We're going to court with receipts." But I didn't tear it down, not yet. I waited for Pine VY EU Saturday, HOA meeting, their sacred ritual of kale smoothies and petty grievances. I showed up in muddy boots, a flannel shirt, and a smirk that could start a bar fight. Karen was mid-speech about rural threats to our aesthetic standards when I raised my hand. She squinted like I just walked into her yoga class with a chainsaw. "This is for members only," she snapped. "No problem," I said, sliding an envelope across the table. Inside was Lisa's cease and desist letter, printed on paper that smelled like justice. "You've got 48 hours to remove that fence," I said, loud enough for the back row to hear, "or I'll do it with a blowtorch." Karen turned redder than a desert sunset. Someone muttered, "He's the backhoe guy." Damn straight. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing to HOA board members begging to de-escalate, a reporter sniffing for a story, and contractors bailing on jobs to avoid politics. This wasn't just a spat anymore. It was war. Pine VY EW doubled down. Monday morning, I found a letter ducked to pedto my gate. It was from their architectural VY EW board, a.k.a. Karen, and some guy named Steve who flies a drone and lives with his grandma. They cited me for unauthorized equipment and demanded I hide my goats, claiming they ruined the neighborhood's VY Sewell zone. I showed the letter to Daisy, who headbutted a bucket and strutted off. I handed it to Lisa, who cackled. "They're citing rules they can't enforce on land they don't own," she said, drafting a lawsuit she called a legal sledgehammer. Meanwhile, I got creative. Pine VYEW had a walking trail, snaking 20 yards from my fence, technically not on my land, but close enough to make a point. I spent 2 days building a goat obstacle course tires, scrap wood, and cones Jake borrowed from a road crew. I sewed Daisy and her crew camouflage vests labeled Desert Defense Squad. The next morning, as Pine VYEU's walking group sun hats, water bottles, yappy dogs paraded by, they saw 5 goats charging through the course like they were auditioning for an action MOVY. I stood nearby, sipping coffee from a mug that said, "Not today, Karen." A woman screamed. A kombucha hit the dirt. A guy yelled, "What kind of ranch is this? Best Tuesday ever." The story spread like wildfire. Sarah posted photos, and a local paper ran a headline. "Goat Rancher Mocks HOA Overreach." Allies started showing up. Hank, a retired judge, called to offer class action support, hating HOAs more than bad whiskey. Betty, who runs the hardware store, donated supplies and asked if I needed fireproof fence upgrades. Even Deputy Miller swung by, watched the goats, and said, "Legally, I can't laugh, but off the record, this is gold." Pine VYEU wasn't laughing. A suit and a flashy SUV rolled up, Pine VYEW decal gleaming. "Mr. Thompson," he said, Bluetooth earpiece blinking, "we offer a resolution. You give up the easement, stop the stunts, and we won't sue." I held up a finger. "Buddy, you're about to say something real dumb." He tried again. "You're embarrassing yourself and us." I grinned. "Nah, you did that solo. I just turned on the spotlight." He peeled out, tires squealing like his ego. I sent Lisa every scrap of EVY Densey signs, photos, notices. Her reply, "We're filing. Buckle up." The lawsuit crawled, but gossip flew. By our court date, the town was buzzing. The diner had a goat justice burger on special. I showed up in clean jeans and a flannel. Per Lisa's look sane, add VYC. Karen sat with her board and a lawyer who looked like he gargled red tape. They had color-coded binders. We had Lisa, a beat-up folder, and the truth. Their lawyer droned about my gate, renting Pine VYEU's VY Sewell cohesion and recreational plans. Judge Harper, Who wants find a planner for outlawing common sense? Cut in. Is the gate on HOA land? Silence. Is the easement theirs? More silence. Then why are we here? Lisa purred. They threw out maps, photos of my unsightly goats, even a VY Deo of Daisy chewing a flag patriotic, if you ask me. Their big claim? My goats created a hostile aesthetic boundary. I framed that phrase. Lisa dismantled them. She showed my property records, proved the easement was mine, and documented their trespassing, illegal fence, and harassment. She dropped the county tax, record me land was agricultural, gate included. They knowingly violate my client's rights, she said, with intent to bully. Their lawyer looked seasick. Judge Harper ruled in 10 minutes. No HOA claim, no jurisdiction. She ordered the fence removed, an apology written, damages paid, and a restraining order against direct HOA contact. I could have hugged her. Karen looked like she'd been kicked out of spa. Outside, a news crew pounced. What's next? The reporter asked, grinning. I stared into the camera. Gonna build a welcome sign. Tasteful. Maybe with horns. 2 weeks later, their apology arrived on wine-stained letterhead, promising peaceful coexistence. Daisy snorted when I read it to her. But Karen wasn't done. Sarah showed me a Pine VYEW post. Karen had formed a Border Patrol committee to monitor non-member interactions. I was their prime target. Revenge? Nah. I wanted closure that looked like a 1,200-pound metal goat. First, I took Lisa's ad VYC and welded a 10-foot sign. Private property. Not Pine VYEW. Never will be. Trespassers prosecuted. Solar lights. An American flag flapping atop. Sarah teared up. Jake threw a barbecue. Then came the statue. Over 2 weekends, I welded scrap metal, horseshoes, and a lawnmower blade into a 12-foot beast named Freedom Fawn. I planted it by the fence, LEDs spotlighting it red, white, and blue. Karen called the sheriff. Deputy Miller took a selfie with it. It's art, he said, and it's yours. At Pine VYEU's next meeting, Karen tried to ban VY Sewell pollutants. Leak footage thanks. Steve showed her motion flop. The HOA president, a quiet nobody, finally spoke. Karen, it's a goat. Let it go. Residents turned on her, fed up with lawsuits and fees. Karen was voted out, her clipboard dreams dust. Now my gate swings free. Daisy runs her obstacle course. Pine VYEW joggers give respectful nods. Freedom Fawn's a local icon, some snap photos, art winning hearts. Steve moved out, bought land, raises chickens. He said I gentrified rural revenge. Damn right. If Karen tries again, I've got coffee, a torch, and no patience left. So what do you think? Was I too harsh, or did Pine VYEW deserve it? Should HOAs have power over private land? Or is this a win for freedom? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more stories where the little guy fights back. Where are you watching from? And how do you handle a bully like Karen?